Well, we are back again for another one of these, another series of ramblings, which means I'm just going to talk shit for an hour. That's kind of roundabout what we do here. But we got a few things to go over again today. There's been some silly things said. There's been, more stuff on the James Bond front. More of that to talk about. It's essentially just the reiterated thing that we keep hearing from Barbara Broccoli herself. So that's kind of what we got there. We got a bit of the Marvels. That is, how long's that got left to? It's out now. Another 2.5 weeks. We've got until that shitstorm. So it's probably going to get quite busy around there. I'm hoping. I'm really hoping, because I have not managed to get a video done, even though I said, like a couple of weeks ago, I'm going to get back the videos. Haven't done a fucking one yet. How's it going, Jordan? Haley Steinfeld or Dua Lipa? I can't think. Who the fuck's Dua Lipa? I've heard the name, but I can't think who it is. But yeah, I'd probably go Haley Steinfeld. I do like the look of her. I wasn't a big fan, of Hawk fucking girl, whatever her name is, when she was in the Hawkeye series. But the act, like her herself, is fine, but the character wasn't any good. Although we did get good stuff out of her from like Arcane, things like that. But yeah, I'd have to go Haley Steinfeld. But yeah, so we've got the usual stuff really. It's always something to do with Marvel. But yeah, here's hoping. How's it going, Biffa? But yeah, I'm kind of hoping once we get a bit closer to the Marvels. I mean, you're probably going to get a shitload of the Marvels videos. That would be my guess, hopefully, because it's just been, sometimes you don't really want to make a 4-minute video because you're just like, what's the fucking point? But yeah, again, it's not been. There's just been things that I end up missing, and I'm like, oh, it's too late to do that now. But yeah, I'm going to try and get a video done tomorrow. It'll be a bit different to obviously what I was doing. It will be a bit more edited, I think. So it will take a few hours, I suppose. If I procrastinate, which I usually do. I usually end up having my lunch and then sitting on my arse and watching fucking TV for the rest of the day. But it's been good at the moment, actually. I've just been watching good stuff, so that's been fun. I gave up on Loki after episode 1. Could not be asked for that one bit. I'll let other people cover it. That's fair enough. I've just been rewatching House of the Dragon, although I watched the bad episode. Which is episode 9. It's not necessarily bad. There's just some bad, stupid choices in there. So I've been watching that. I watched that Amadeus the other day. That was quite good. That was a 3-hour watch. That was quite a good one. That was. I don't know how I've never seen that one before, considering the amount of awards it won. But I'd never heard of it before. So I chucked that on. That was good. So that's kind of just what I've been doing, just watching good stuff. I can't think of the last pile of shit that I actually watched. It's been a while, which is just it's fucking good. Just stick into the good stuff. Even covered The Thing on Sunday there, so yeah, it's just been pretty much non-stop watching good stuff. But yeah, we haven't got long till all the shit just starts pouring out again, which is, it's just the Marvels. I think with TV shows this year, I think Loki is like the last one. I don't think there's any other, Marvel shows or Star Wars shows, any sort of sludge like that. So I think we're kind of in the clear once we get past the Marvels. But I'll probably be spending a lot of time on that, making a video, doing a stream, breaking it down. I imagine it's going to be pretty terrible. But I suppose we'll just dive in anyway. We've been going on for like 5 minutes. But yeah, I thought we might as well start out with more of the, James Bond producer Barbara Broccoli, which, for the past while since No Time to Die, which I still haven't bothered to even, see. I'm considering watching it, but I'm almost thinking, well, if I watch it, I might have to do a video or something on it. Because from what I've heard, it is not very good. Especially the climax of the film. But yeah, so it's kind of, she's just kind of been saying the same sort of stuff, like, we're reinventing Bond for the modern audience, and, all that type of jazz. I'm just like, why? It's like, I don't want more of depressing fucking Daniel Craig, James Bond type stuff. Because the best idea I've heard so far, because it was like rumors going about that Christopher Nolan was considering or meeting with producers about possibly doing the next, couple of James Bond films. And the idea that was floated out there was it would be, James Bond back in the 50s, something like that. Which is, yeah, I don't know why they don't just do that. I'd honestly rather see that than in sort of, modern times. There's a lot more. There's more of a reliance on, technology, I think, when they do it in the sort of modern day. But of course, what we're expecting when Bond comes back is he's going to be a big, pussy shell of himself, and not much else. It's just going to be toned down. Not much. There's no danger to him. It's just going to be just, a bit of a bit of a wet wipe, I think is the kind of best phrase. And it seems that Barbara Broccoli keeps going out of her way to make it seem that way. I mean, we've went over her comments like in the past, like, yeah, we got to reinvent Bond for, the Me Too era. We've heard all that. And then, a lot of it is just, oh, we need to reinvent it for the modern audience that doesn't exist. So that's kind of what we're expecting. We've seen all the articles. Oh, the next James Bond should be a woman. It's like, it doesn't make any fucking sense. But that's kind of where you're at with most franchises. It's always, oh, make him a woman. That's a new idea. But yeah, let's get into it anyway. James Bond producer says they haven't even begun reinventing franchise after Daniel Craig's 007 retirement. There's a big road ahead. I mean, again, it's like with all these franchises, it's just like put it on ice. If you're not willing to actually do something decent with it, if you want to just tone it down so there's just no edge to it whatsoever, it's like, why even bother at this point? You might as well just get rid of it. And I mean, I don't know if anybody's seen the new book, a recent book that came out and some of the stuff that was in there. That can't be a good sign, especially when even the book side of things is under Barbara Broccoli's, watchful eye. So she's in charge of that. She let some book go out there with James Bond worrying about the diversity of the criminals or the coup. So that's not a good sign for, in the movie side of things. But that's kind of what we're expecting. But yeah, it's just like, get Henry Cavill, stick him in the 50s, and you just watch James Bond just do all this stuff. He punches women. You might as well bring that back. No, we don't have to go that far, but yeah, I just think it needs that sort of tongue-in-cheek. I think that's what it needs to bring back. Have a bit more fun with it, rather than what we got. As much as I like Casino Royale, after that, it's like, I don't really care after that. There's just not really much to it. You can tell Daniel Craig doesn't want to be there, so it's just like, oh, this isn't fun, is it? Just nothing fun about it. But let's see what they say anyway. Fans of the iconic British secret agent James Bond will have to wait a while to see who the next 007 will be. I'm not concerned about waiting a while. According to franchise producer Barbara Broccoli, in a recent interview with The Guardian, Broccoli shared that executives haven't even begun modernizing the franchise. You know, again, it's just such a vague word, like modernizing the franchise. Right, you do realize you can still do stuff that is set within a different era. It doesn't have to be, you know, they already modernized it. It's like, in a sense, you already did it with Daniel Craig. So I don't really know what you mean. I don't know how much further you can take it in modernizing it. Unless if you just mean, you know, it's a woman or something. You know, unless you mean something like that. I don't really understand, like, fully, what do you mean by that, modernizing? It's just like, just make some good fucking movies. That's all you got to do. There's no, you know, like, urge for modernizing or anything like that. Adding that there is a big road ahead before the James Bond character is reinvented for the next chapter. Which, you know, it's hard to see how they go forward when, I mean, no time to, what, they killed him off at the end. I don't know what that decision was. But it was just, it really was just a sort of strange era they did for Bond. Because they started out like, this is going to be an origin of James Bond. And then they went, oh no, actually it's all connected to all the other stuff. It's like, what you know, you're going to make just stick to one side of it. So that's where they really fucked up with that era. It's like, if you're going to do an origin, do an origin. Don't say that you're doing that and then try and connect it to, like, Blofeld and all these other characters. Because, you know, unless they're trying to say all this stuff, you know, who knows. But let's see. Broccoli praised what Daniel Craig, who hated being there the entire time. So I don't know what there is to praise about him. Who retired from the role of James Bond in 2021 after the release of No Time to Die brought to the character. Daniel Craig gave us the ability to mine the emotional life of the character, and also the world was ready for it. Adding that she wanted to focus on what a 21st century hero would look like. Again, I just think, just keep it in a distant era. That is honestly the more interesting place to have it. It's like, we've already got Jason Bournes, we've already got things like that. So I don't know why you wouldn't want to have that sense of difference. You know, separate yourselves from the crowd. Whereas, you know, what they done with the recent installments was they just made it like every other fucking spy thing. There was nothing distinctive about it. It was just like everything else. You know, like your Jason Bournes and just films like that. So it's like, I don't understand why you don't want it to be, you know, have something distinguishable about it. I don't know why you wouldn't want to have it that way. As for the character itself, it's clear to Broccoli that James Bond exists as a product of the times. I go back to GoldenEye when everyone was saying, the Cold War is over, the wall is over, Bond is dead, no need for Bond. The whole world's at peace and now there's no villains. And boy, was that wrong. Although it might be a while until a new Bond film appears in theaters, audiences can stream the series. 007 Road to a Million, it's some like unscripted shite. I haven't looked into it, but yeah, it was some spin-off that they did. It's just like a reality TV show. I'm not sure exactly. Where it says the series follows pairs of contestants as they navigate challenges set in Bond-related locations. So it's just in Bond-related locations. It's not, I don't know if the challenges actually relate to James Bond. Asked if they're planning other James Bond TV spin-offs, Broccoli said, our focus is making the feature films. I mean, that's, yeah, I don't know why you want a reality show based off of it. You know, I don't know why you would want to do really spin-offs. Our focus is making the feature films. When we get going on a Bond movie, it takes our full attention for the 3 or 4 years, so that's our focus. We make the Bond movies for the big theatrical screen, and everything about the Bond movies is for audiences to see around the world on that format, so we've not wanted to do television. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's like certain franchises, it's like, yeah, just keep it within movies. That's probably where he went wrong with Star Wars, in a way. by just going, we're just do a load of TV shows. We're not going to make a film. We're not going to make a movie in, how long's it been now since the Rise of Skywalker? How long's it been now? Like 4 or 5 years? They still haven't released anything. Which, as we know, a lot of that's because they know it's going to fail. So there's not much point. But yeah, with James Bond, it's just like, you know, if you're not going to do anything unique with it, or just, you know, stick to kind of what it was, or just move back in that direction a little bit, it's just like I've really got no interest. But that's just the, you know, they've just made it like everything else. It's lost what it was. So I don't know why, you know, they should get. I would, if it was announced that, right, Nolan's going to be doing the next James Bond, you know, whether it's a trilogy, 4 films, whatever, he's going to, then I'd go, all right, well, we may have a chance here then, because he's probably going to do what the fuck he wants to do. That's kind of what you'd be looking at with Nolan behind it. So I think if that was the case, you may have a chance. Without that, we'll be looking at, I suppose, just more of what we got in No Time to Die. Or they just, you know, maybe, are they going to make it a woman? Who knows? It's hard to say, but it's like, it wouldn't make any fucking sense. It's like, if you want to do a spin-off, just do a spin-off and do it that way. Or just come up with a new franchise. You know, it's very, very straightforward if you want to go that route. But yeah, it's just gonna be, Daniel Craig, but worse. It's not gonna be, it's not gonna be sort of James Bondish. Not really gonna be anything like that. But yeah, just get Nolan, get Henry Cavill. You're probably sorted then. You probably got a good chance. But yeah, I'll probably watch that No Time to Die at some point. But yeah, I couldn't be bothered watching it at all. And from what I've heard, yeah, it sounds fucking awful. And that was sort of when Phoebe Waller-Bridge started getting brought into it, like, onto these sorts of productions. You know, into James Bond, then into Indiana Jones, going into Tomb Raider as well. So that's kind of where she popped up, was round about this time. Where, yeah, for some reason, Hollywood studios went, get me Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So, fucking doesn't make no sense. But that's kind of the James Bond stuff out of the way. But yeah, I don't really, it's like, why bother at this point? It's, you know, it's funny that just every franchise, it's just like, I'd rather you just killed it. You know, I'd rather just don't bother anymore. Just come up with something new. That's all you got to do. But speaking of not making anything new, we might as well jump into Matthew Vaughn, which is, let me just get the right article. Because recently he's been kind of saying a lot of, he's had a lot of strange comments where it's just like, yeah, that's just typical of the attitude of Hollywood, isn't it? But it's kind of worse coming from Matthew Vaughn, considering, you know, he's done a lot of good movies. So it's definitely sort of strange coming from him. But it just seems to be this attitude throughout all of Hollywood, just the fear of creating anything new. There's just a complete fear of it. It's like, nah, just remake the thing we've already seen. I don't understand why they don't go with, right, there's a shit film that came, let's take it and make it better. It's always, no, let's take the ones that are already good and remake them. And it's, you know, again, it's like, it's never going to be better. So I don't really understand the obsession outside of, it's easy, isn't it? We've already got it written for us, basically. All we need to do is change a few words and a few events. That's it. That's all there is to it. But this article here brings up, like, the comments that he made, and then he's tried to walk them back. He said, oh no, it was a joke. Apparently it was just a joke. But Kingsman director Matthew Vaughn made headlines after he claimed he wanted to do a reboot of Star Wars. But he's now clarifying those comments. And, you know, it's obvious at some point that the original trilogy is going to get a reboot. It's going to happen. I think once Lucasfilm have exhausted all their efforts within TV, and then these films that most likely aren't going to happen, they're probably just going to go, right, let's just remake the original trilogy and do it the shit way. Even though it's like they basically already done it with The Force Awakens. That is just A New Hope done shit. That's all. So it's like they've already done that. That didn't quite pan out. But speaking with Josh Horowitz on the Happy, Sad, Confused podcast to promote his upcoming film Argyle, Vaughn declared he wanted to reboot Star Wars. Vaughn was asked, would you ever do Star Wars? Would that be tough to say no to? He's like, yeah, now, not so much. Horowitz would then interject, it's been tainted a little bit. Vaughn replied, it's not been tainted. Well, it has. The entire thing has been fucking tainted. I find it near impossible to watch the OT. Because I don't want to be reminded of where it is now. You know, what it was compared to what it is now. I don't want to be reminded of that. So it's definitely been tainted. I mean, it's dead. It's a corpse. It's a corpse being dragged around, which, as I say, it's a corpse. The odd time it farts, and we get a TV show like Ahsoka. So that's all Star Wars is at this point. We get, since Disney have had Lucasfilm, the only good thing we've had is Andor. One out of multiple projects. And I'm not, so it's not been tainted, and I'm not going to go there. I would say for me, doing a Star Wars movie is to play with the characters that I loved. So if they said to me, we'll reboot, do you want to reboot Star Wars and actually have Luke Skywalker, Solo, and Vader, and you do your version of it? Everyone would say, you're an idiot to try, but that would excite me. Yeah, but, again, it's just like, yeah, but you're already making your own stuff. So I don't know, what you would get out of going and remaking, like, the original trilogy. What would you be able to do that would somehow make it better? It's like you wouldn't be able to compete with it. You would just be missing so many components that sort of made it what it was. You wouldn't have James Earl Jones doing Vader. You wouldn't have any of this stuff. I mean, there's so many things that are just like really intrinsic to what you get out of that original trilogy, that if you were to remove it, it wouldn't make things. It just wouldn't be as good. At least along some lines of the film. But he said, yeah, that would excite me. When Horowitz asserted Vaughn has a death wish, Vaughn countered, but that's fun. Why not? Bond? Do you mind Bond? I mean, that's completely different to fucking Star Wars. It's like they haven't remade, James Bond films. The majority of them, there might be one or two in there. But the majority of them, it's like, yeah, they're all their original stories. It's essentially what James Bond is like a serialized thing. So each movie is, is different. It has a different story with different characters in it. You asked me who's going to play the next Wolverine. How the fuck is someone playing the next Wolverine the same as remaking, a movie? In what way is that even equatable? Why are these characters so hallowed that from 77 you can't redo it for a new audience? And that's the story. Well, I mean, you can already get people who are still watching it to this day. From there, Vaughn detailed where Disney went wrong with Star Wars. Star Wars is the Skywalker family, and that's where I think they've gone wrong, because they forgot that. I would have to disagree with that. It's like you've got an entire universe. The idea that you just stick with a sky. Why? There's so many. If you have this whole universe, there's so many stories you can fucking tell within it. So you're limiting yourself by going, oh, it should just be about the Skywalkers. It's like, well, that's what it was about for a long time, but you can still, there's other things you can do in it. And that's more of where Lucasfilm have went wrong. They haven't tried to do anything new. We've had Andor. Aside from that, nothing. There is nothing there where it's like, right, we're telling this different story that's separate from the Jedi and all that stuff. They've kind of missed that. He added, they've done brilliantly in the TV. That's just a lie, Matthew. That's just a lie. I mean, wait till you see what film he thinks is good. That will really, that will certainly make you wonder. But it needs an epic new film. And that's what I would do. I would go, right, everyone's going to go batshit crazy, but let's bring it on. Because if you want a new generation, make the movie for them. I mean, you can just make a good movie and every generation would be perfectly happy with it. I don't know why you would go, let's make it for a what new generation? It's like, if you make something good, it doesn't matter the generation. It doesn't matter what, people are going to watch it because it's good. So that's really all that matters. The old generation can hopefully make it well enough that they go, okay, I'm enjoying it. And again, you don't have to point it. You can make an attempt to try and reach a new generation. But I think if you're going, let's make a movie for them, well, it's like, well, you don't need to do that. You just make the movie good. Ultimately, people are going to pour in from either side. So that's really all you need to do with that. But yeah, that's, again, it's still somewhere else that Star Wars has went wrong, or Lucasfilm have went wrong. They haven't tried, well, they haven't been able to capture, a bigger audience. It's just further dwindled. That's all they've managed to do. At this point, it's already over. The idea that you're going to recapture it or capture an audience is, that's gone. It's just completely out the window now. But yeah, so now in a new interview with Screen Rant, Vaughn claims the original comments were a joke. I mean, does it sound like maybe people said, "Oh, fuck off, Matthew"? It's like, oh yeah, that maybe was stupid what I said. I'm not sure if it's that or if he was joking. I suppose I'd have to watch the actual podcast, but he said, "But for me now, if someone asked me, what would you do? For me to get back into the world of somebody else's characters and other franchises, I mean, I was joking. I was joking after everybody said, 'Shut the fuck up, Matthew.'" Because I did not see anybody going, "Oh, that's a good idea." No, everyone was going, "What the fuck are you talking about?" That just again sounds like another problem that Hollywood have been stuck in with that attitude. So he says he was joking. I said this as a joke, and now, yeah, maybe I would do it. He then made clear he was talking about his Star Wars comments. If they wanted to reboot Star Wars, set the story with the Skywalkers, and then I'll go, hey, that will be interesting. Why? Because you get to just repeat the same story. I don't get what's interesting about that. I don't know why you make movies and the interest isn't straight away, oh well, I want to make my own stories. I want to, like he's done in the past. I don't know why that wouldn't be of more interest. You can even take inspiration from Star Wars. You don't have to, just remake what we've seen. It's just like there's nothing really interesting there. But yeah, Star Wars reboot it's just Matthew Vaughn talking about it. No, I reckon at some point they're going to do it. I think once they're out of the, they're out of the sort of TV stuff, and then they're out of, what have we got? We've got James Mangold film, we've got a Dave Filoni film, we've got another Rey film, which, again, then probably not going to happen. I think the Rey one is, because I think Kathleen Kennedy's the kind of person that will double down on her fucking failures. That's the only one that I think will happen. The only way I see Filoni's happening is it will be like a straight to streaming film. It will basically be a TV movie that will just be on Disney Plus. James Mangold's one, I don't see that happening. I don't know why you would be interested in, oh, we got to tell the origin of the Force. It's like, we don't need an origin for stuff like that. We've already got origins for like fucking Mount Doom in Rings of Power. It's like they do these origins for, you know, an origin for a landscape. I don't know why you need that. So it's like the same goes. It's like you don't need an origin for the Force. You're better off leaving it alone, because if you try and explain the Force even further, it's not going to make any sense. So it's just like leave it alone. But that's probably the one that won't happen. Yeah, a Taika Waititi film that's apparently been in the works, but Taika, I don't know. You kind of get different things said about it. You know, 1 minute, oh, there's a script done. The next minute, it's, oh no, we haven't been handed a script yet. So I don't really know what's happening with that. They've, you know, again, it's like I mean, out of all the movies they've announced, how you know, the amount that they've cancelled or quietly just said that they're not making it, or you know, just string people along, say, yeah, we're making Rian Johnson's trilogy. It's like, no, you're not. I don't know why you don't just come out and say, yeah, we're not making that anymore. So, you know, a lot of these films that they have announced most likely going to get scrapped. I think the only one that's probably a sure bet is the Ray movie, because they're fucking stupid enough to do that. But yeah, so those were some of Matthew Vaughn's comments on a reboot of Star Wars, or, you know, a remake, whatever you really want to label it. But yeah, it's just like, just stop, just remake bad films. It's very, you know, you're set up for a home run there. If you just go, there's this bad movie from the 70s, we're going to take that idea, and then we're going to apply it here, and we're going to try and build something out of it. I don't know why that isn't more interesting. There's more of a challenge there. Instead of just, you know, reiterating the same old stuff. But that is what they do, I suppose. And the only other thing we had to do with Matthew Vaughn, well, that's going to, of course, bring us into the Marvel side of things. That tends to be what we end up spending the most time on, is fucking Marvel. But yeah, so, you know, he just seems to have been making the round. It must be just from this podcast that he was on, so that's why there's a lot of articles out there. And he's obviously come out with his own suggestions on why Marvel's dead, why nobody's turning up for it. You know, it's the whole superhero fatigue conversation, which, you know, I think everybody's just exhausted at this point of talking about that. I mean, you know, again, it's like, it's not fatigue. It's just, well, it's fatigue of shit movies. That's where it comes from. It's not just, oh, it's superhero stuff. Everybody's just tired of it's like, well, no, it's because it's bad. If we, for the past 3 or 4 years, had non-stop good movies, I don't think anyone would be tired of superhero films. But they've all just come generic and very, very terribly put together. But yeah, Matthew Vaughn suggests Marvel Studios make less films and concentrate on making them great. I mean, Kevin Feige's been saying that for years now. It still hasn't happened. Which, you know, we've went over time and time again. It's like, you can't, you're not going to be able to concentrate on making like any good films, because you've already got too many films you're working on. And that's like the problem with greenlighting so many projects at once. Just, you know, focus on the one, try and get that good first, and then go to the next one. It's like, you don't need to greenlight 12 projects at the same time. But Matthew Vaughn is no stranger to the superhero genre, being the director of Kick-Ass and X-Men First Class, and has a suggestion for Marvel Studios and DC, as superhero fatigue continues to be a topic of conversation. I mean, it's the conversation like superhero, it's kind of died down a bit. I don't see it as talked about, you know, as much. It kind of comes up now and again. So he says, I think at least DC is under. I think James Gunn and Peter Safran, they've got a good chance of popping. Probably not, because it's like there's been too many blows. There's been too many blows dealt to the superhero genre by the people that make superhero films. So by the time we get Superman, it's like nobody's gonna care. I don't think it's not gonna hit 1 billion. I don't think there's, it's like DC fucked it at the very start. They've then waited too long to correct it. So it's like nobody's really gonna care. It's gonna, you're gonna have to come out with multiple bangers that are really, and that's the only way of building back an audience. They're gonna have to come out with just great movies. It's like, it's not gonna start off with good box offices at the start, but if you put out enough good movies, eventually people will go, maybe we should go and see this next James Gunn's DC film. So that's really the only chance they've got. I think, if they're under the impression that they're just going to come back and it's just going to be hunky dory, it's like they can kind of think again. And hopefully Kevin Feige will go back to less is more and make less films and concentrate on making them great. But again, it's like, it's got nothing to do with they're making too many. It's like, that's a factor, but it's because it's too many shit ones. That's where it comes from. Vaughn also feels that superhero movies rely too much on CGI. What does he say? Saying that it has fucked up everything as well because you feel like you're watching a video game. Which I find strange he makes that comment and then goes on to praise a certain film. Which, I mean, the CGI is fucking awful in that. But yeah, the CGI is, well, I mean, with CGI, it's like, if you've got a good film on your hands, nobody cares if the CGI is bad. They might comment on it, but if you've got a solid story there, it's like, I'm not really concerned that much about CGI. If the CGI is good, it's just an extra. But that's, that's not high on the list of problems. The CGI, it's the writing is the problem. So he goes on to say, you're not with the characters. Apart from Guardians, I still think Groot and the raccoon are pieces of genius that I feel so much for them. So I'll be intrigued. I mean, they've kind of fucked up Groot. For some reason, in Guardians 3, rather than CGI, they went with, he's just in this fucking foam suit, and it looks shit. It doesn't look good. Vaughn was surprised by the box office results of The Flash, so you can probably see where this is going. Which he really enjoyed. When it was released earlier this year, and wonders when it released earlier, is like the box office doing very bad. Wonders if it was superhero fatigue. No, it's just a shit movie. And DC had already killed itself with shit movie after shit movie. Their entire universe was shit. That's the reason that didn't make any money. And then you've, of course, got Ezra Miller on that. They don't really fit. People never think about that either. How much that really factors into why it done so poorly. It's hard to say. But and there's loads of aspects behind it. What really freaked me out was that I really enjoyed The Flash. That would freak me out as well, to be honest, if I enjoyed The Flash. I thought it was a really good film. I don't know how you can make good movies and go, oh, The Flash, that's a good film. Fuck me. Maybe James Gunn was telling the truth. Maybe he did really like The Flash. Yeah, I can't wait not to watch Aquaman 2. That's what I can't wait for. I still haven't seen the first Aquaman. I've just got no interest. It doesn't seem like there's much there. And it died at the box office. And I'm like, wait, hold on. This is a good movie. It's not, Matthew. Come on. It's not a good movie. What happened? Well, again, it was a shit movie. It had shit word of mouth. Throughout, you can stick the blame on Marvel as well for producing so many shit movies. So that's what it is. I don't know why that's sort of strange. I mean, maybe it's just like you're inside the bubble. Maybe that's why he's looking at The Flash going, that's a good movie. That should have made money. What happened? And I don't know whether that was superhero fatigue. No, it's a shit movie. You've just seen it done. So even now that we've made it well, there was some really, really complicated, hard, and quite special, unique filmmaking in that film. I can't really think of anything that I would go, that's some good filmmaking. They just it was just a hollow piece of shit that was just, it was just nostalgia bait. That's all it had going for it, and even that didn't get people in the doors. Which I don't think Machete got enough credit for what they pulled off. I really wish he'd go into detail on how The Flash is a good movie. Because, yeah, I would like to get more insight into why, you know, whether it is... well, James Gunn's most likely. He's, out of everyone that said it's a great movie, James Gunn is probably the biggest liar. I think other people, it's like, well, you know, have you just not thought about it? You know, whatever it could be. So that's kind of his thoughts on the superhero fatigue stuff. But it's just, you know, again, it's very obvious that the problem isn't superhero fatigue. It's bad movie fatigue. There's just been too many. And the only way of actually getting anywhere is the likes of Marvel, DC. They're going to have to make great film, well, good film after good film. That's the only way. And it's like with Marvel, that's too late because they've got too much stuff in the pipeline. So it's going to take them a while to actually make something that they can go, right, we can start from scratch. It's going to take them a while to get to that point. So they've just got to put out multiple movies, TV series that are just going to go over like a lead balloon. So that just does even more damage. So by the time, even if you were to course correct, which I don't think they have the ability to do, it's going to be too late. People would have moved on. So they've just kind of fucked themselves to the point of, it's like, yeah, there's no getting out of this now. You've painted yourself into a corner. But I'm trying to wonder what we should go on to next, because I got a couple of Marvel things. Well, I suppose we were on the sort of topic of the so-called superhero fatigue. Let me try and zoom this in a bit. Yeah, that should do it. So we've got, obviously we went over last week about the Marvels, what it's sort of tracking for, which is 75 million to 80 million. Pretty sure it was, well, that's the latest one. I believe the one before that was, what was it, 50 million, I want to say. That was sort of like the bottom end. But the Marvel's tracking for 75 million to 80 million domestic debut in latest test of box office superhero fatigue. So, of course, there's a reason why I bring this up. Because that is, of course, you know, again, they're already sort of setting up the defenses for when this film fucking massively fails. I still don't think it's going to make more than 300 million. I think that is the threshold. It's not going to get anywhere over that. And of course, you know, with the type of film that it is, there's going to be loads of defenses. You know, we already know there's going to be a load of, oh, you didn't like it because you're just misogynist. There's going to be a lot of that. And then there's also going to be a lot of, oh, well, this film didn't make money because the audience is tired of superhero movies. That's what it is. It isn't the fact, oh, it's a shit film coming off the back of other shit films. It's not, you know, it's nothing to do with Marvel killing their own brand. It's just audiences are just tired of the superhero genre. So that's kind of where we're already going on the captain. It's like they're already setting up their defenses. It's going to be like, nah, you're just tired. You're just tired of them. Which, I mean, telling studios that people, I know people are just tired of it. It's like, you know, how is that helping them exactly? I don't know how that's helping a studio by the media saying, oh, well, the reason people didn't go see it is because they're just tired of your stuff. It's not that your shit sucks and you need to get some talent in the door. It's not that you need to do this mass turnaround. It's just, they're just tired of it. That's all it could possibly be. So yeah, we're already starting to see articles like that where that's what they're going to blame it on when this film does fail. There's no way it doesn't just like completely flop. I mean, it's going to be the worst flop that they've had. because it's just like, again, we've went over, it's got nothing to offer people. There's nothing there where it's like, oh, I could go and see this. It's like, now we got some girl I don't fucking know. We got this woman that let a murderer go. Or let this woman go that tortured people and then went on to murder people. Then we got Captain Marvel, fucking, plank of wood. So it's just like there's nothing there that's gonna interest people. It's honestly a film. It's like you would have been better cancelling it. That's what you would have been better doing. But now they're like, well, we kind of calculated sort of how much they have to make to even break even, and it's round about 800 million, 900 million. That's probably how much it needs to make, and it's like that's not happening. There's no fucking way. But let's see what the Hollywood Reporters say. But the female-fronted The Marvels is tracking to open in the 75 million to 80 range. In the latest test of box office superhero fatigue, it launches November 10th. We haven't got long to go. I'm still looking forward to it. I'm still looking forward to the online discussion where people just take the absolute piss out of it. That's what I'm looking forward to. The 33rd installment in the Marvel Cinematic, is that honestly 33? Fucking hell. In the MCU is a sequel to the 2019 Brie Larson star Captain Marvel, which has there not been, I don't know if she said stuff about, I've been seeing a lot of videos out there talking about she's done with Marvel. I don't know if that's, how much truth there is to that. So I don't know if she'll be coming back after that. I wouldn't imagine they're going to make another Captain Marvel film after this one. Which opens to 153.4 million. That's the first Captain Marvel. Not adjusted for inflation. Of course, we know why that made money, because it was cemented in between Infinity War and Endgame. That's why. And they said, it comes into Endgame. She's in it for about 15 minutes. So it doesn't really. Tracking for the Marvels varies widely depending upon the research firm. NRG has it at 72 million to 88, while the Quorum thinks 80 million to 90. The superhero film is unique in... We know why it's going to be unique. It's not a good reason to be unique. Or it's not really... It's like you're unique in something that doesn't fucking matter. That's the only way it's unique in what they're about to say. The superhero film is unique in that it stars 3 female leads. Never seen that before. But that's what makes it unique. It's got 3 women in it. That's unique. Again, if you want to use the unique angle, you've got to have something unique about the movie itself. Within the movie itself. What are you doing? Are you doing a horror? Are you doing that? That would then be, right, yeah, we've done something unique here. We've done something a bit different than most Marvel movies. But to go, it's got 3 female leads, right? That doesn't make it unique. And it was directed by Nia DaCosta, who is the first black woman to direct a Marvel Studios movie. I don't know why at this point you would want that on your references, on your CV. I don't know why you'd want that there. I was the first black woman to direct a Marvel Studios movie. You're kind of like, oh, right, okay. As well as the youngest director of an MCU film. Is that honestly the only sort of what they've got for this film? Are they not got anything else? It's just, three women, and the first black woman to direct a Marvel Studios movie. It's as always. That always seems to be a lot of the focus from some of these articles. It's like, yeah, you're not gaining interest out of that. The last title from Marvel Studios that didn't open to 70 million or more was Ant-Man in 2015 at 57.2 million. The majority of MCU movies, 25 of them, have opened to 100 million or more domestically, with 8 movies coming in at 150 million or higher. There's extra pressure on exhibitors for the Marvels to do well after Doom Part 2 abandoned its November 2nd release date. They really shouldn't have done that. You know, that was one of the like really well. You know, there's been a few films I've been looking forward to. Dune Part 2 was one of them. I don't really know why they did it. It's like the film was done. You know, unless it was they were just going, well, we want the actors to promote it. But I don't think I really don't think they should have done that. I think that was a mistake. And you know, I don't even know why Marvel decided we'll place it right next to Doom Part 2. It's like you got no chance. Although even without competition, it's like this film ain't gonna do nothing. It's gonna have nothing. So it's not really gonna make a difference. Because of the ongoing actors' strike and the accompanying prohibition on talent doing any promotion, Marvel Studios and Disney decided to keep the Marvels on its date, which you know they delayed it about 5 times. So I think they were kind of at the end. It's like, yeah, we probably can't delay this any longer. On its date, but had hoped the strike would end in time for the cast to do publicity. There's also ongoing concern about superhero fatigue. So that's, of course, when we get into, it's going to fail because people are tired. That's the cope of it all, isn't it? DC has been hit the hardest, highlighted by The Flash bombing this summer, after opening to 55 million domestically. A major exception to any fatigue was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You know, I thought it was pretty shit. But it was the only film that had come out where anybody gave a shit about the characters. So that's probably the main reason that done better than the rest of them, was because people like those characters. Whereas, you know, like with Captain Marvel, it's like we don't have that. There's no care for, or just concern about Captain Marvel. The prequel debuted to 106 million domestically because Guardians 3 sort of started off not very good. It just had, you know, long legs. That was kind of how it got to where it did get to. Grossing 845.6 million globally, just behind the second film's 863.7 million. In the new movie, Larson is joined by Ayman Vellani, the breakout star of the Disney Plus series. 700,000 people watched it. That's not a breakout. As well as Teyonah Parris as the grown-up version of Captain Marvel character Monica Rambeau, who is the person responsible for all those people murdered in Multiverse of Madness. The actor made her Marvel debut with WandaVision. Remember, she just walked through this thing and got a load of powers that we're told in the Marvels trailer that, she has the power to see light. It's like everyone could do that. That's not a power. Which counted the Marvels screenwriter Megan McDonnell among its writers. The Marvels finds the heroes linked in a quite inconvenient way. Anytime one of them uses their powers, they switch locations with one another, as was teased in the season finale of Ms. Marvel last year. You know, my kind of guess from the trailer was their powers switching or them switching places. None of that's going to make any sense. It didn't seem to make any sense in the trailer, because it makes it make less sense when you got 3 parties involved. It's kind of like, so, you know, what determines you switch with this person, or do you all switch at the same time? Who knows what they do. I'm willing to bet none of it's going to make any sense. I think it's going to be a mess of a film. So that's kind of what the media are going to go for at the moment is superhero fatigue. That's why it failed. And in the end up not really helping anyone. They're not helping Marvel figure out what's going wrong. It's just gonna go, they're just tired. It's not our ability to provide quality. It's got nothing to do with that. But I suppose, let me see whereabouts we are. I've got to get rid of some tabs here. But since we're still kind of stuck on Marvel, we might as well get into this. We ain't got too long to go. So this was another, again, we still now and again this Martin Scorsese criticism of the MCU, which is just true at this point. I mean, I think really what happened when he said the criticisms about them being theme park rides, I think he must have just been clairvoyant or something and seen where it was going. I think he was just trying to warn us, like, where it's going. He just kind of, his criticism at the time, for the most part, wasn't really, it just wasn't said at the right time, I think. Whereas you kind of take what he said now, at this point, it's like, yeah, that is what it is. But Marvel exec takes issue with Martin Scorsese's MCU criticism. And there is a sort of reason. There is a sort of reason I bring this up, because I just find it funny what the Marvel executive of Loki season 2 has to say. What he has as a counter. What project he's going to use to counter what Martin Scorsese said. He's going to use Loki season 2. Fucking hell. That's how he's going to defend it. Oh, well, Loki season 2 is cinema, or is just as good as your films. So Marvel executive and Loki producer Kevin Wright recently cried that Martin Scorsese shat all over the MCU, following controversial comments from filmmaker Martin Scorsese. In response to Scorsese's critiques of the genre, Wright told Geeks of Color, these projects, including Loki, are built with a lot of love and care. I'm sure. Maybe you just believe that. And he would challenge anyone watching to say this show is not cinematic. Well, if it's a TV show, can you call it cinematic? But, from what I've seen of the first episode, there's nothing fucking cinematic about it. But he says Loki is being built with a lot of love and care. That, unfortunately, doesn't make it good. And an eye for the cinematic. Any of these shows, any of these movies, anything in this world is about making a character-focused story. When was the last time you did that? The audiences can connect with. I mean, I don't know how you can say with Loki, like the series, it's a character-focused story. It's like, do you know what you've done? Like, what character how you develop the character. You had him watch some videos and he went, oh, I'm a different man now. And you're going to claim, oh, it's character focus. It's like, you don't know how to do it. Quite clearly. The audience can connect with. I would challenge anyone watching to say that this show is not cinematic and it's not built with the highest craftsmanship and care. I mean, I sense a bit of ego there. I mean, to hear someone say that about fucking highest craftsmanship, maybe anything but the script, that's probably where the craftsmanship is. He continued, frankly, people just want to see good stories. You haven't been doing that for a while. If you build something beautiful, the audience is going to enjoy it. Where have they all gone then? That's my question to you. Whether it's a show like this or an indie film, this comes after Scorsese referred to comic book fare as a danger to culture, which I think some of this I did kind of disagree with it when I think we went over it in a different stream. Some of it, like I think going as far as the danger there is what it's doing. I think that goes a bit too far. It's a danger. I mean, again, it's just like, if you go back 10 years ago, maybe, when it was sort of getting off the ground, maybe just include phase 1 to 3, the Daredevil series. I think if you're, saying about stuff like that, it's like you're probably wrong. That's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just in the, maybe with these recent stuff, it probably is a danger. I mean, some people have turned into fucking zombies. I think actually that's something, the guy that directed Dune, that's something that he did say, I think. I believe it was in here. But yeah, that's like something, but that's, that's kind of what it's done to some people. Some people that are sort of still there, still like watching every fucking film. So they bring that up there. But let's go over this a little bit. And I always like when the direct try and defend it. It's always funny. So why does the MCU keep getting attacked? Very simple. It's shit. These latest comments from Martin Scorsese and subsequent defenses, like the one by Kevin Wright, have become commonplace over the past couple of years. I wonder why that would be. Dune director Denis Villeneuve called Marvel movies cut and paste and made by zombies. That's just a great fucking insult, that, isn't it? Which names like Doctor Strange director Scott Derrickson clap back against. I mean, you can't be attached to. Oh well, that's the first Doctor Strange. I thought he was going to go like Multiverse of Madness director. That wouldn't even fucking make sense, would it? Even Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige has had to speak up on the subject, calling Scorsese's original not cinema, which, I would still call Quantumania cinema. It's just not good. It's not good cinema. Comments, unfortunate. I think that's not true. I think it's unfortunate. I think myself and everyone who works on these movies loves cinema, loves movies, loves going to the movies. Then how have you managed to kill the entire thing? Loves to watch a communal experience in a movie theater full of people. These prestige filmmakers seem to have taken issue with Marvel movies being the predominant form of the medium. I don't really blame them. I don't know why they would really complain about it at this point. It's like, if you just look at the box office, it's like they're not predominant anymore. People are desperately grasping for anything different. That's why, Oppenheimer did very well. You can kind of thank Barbie a bit for that, just because of the whole Barbenheimer stuff. But yeah, at some point, I suppose, you understand why they would take issue with it being a predominant form. If you've just got the same genre all the time, how is that helping, other films? Which, the studios keep saying, oh, we know what to do for success, IPs. So it's like, yeah, they're not helping you out either. Anyone that wants to just make something that's not it's kind of set up to fail in some way. But that's kind of taking a back seat now that the MCU's dead. So at this point they shouldn't really have as much of a problem, because I think most people would rather, it would take its time, but most people would rather just go and watch, something like Dune. The first one didn't do too well. I reckon the second one's going to do a lot better, because, I believe the first one was streaming as well, like out of theaters and streaming on the same day. So I reckon the second one will do a lot better. So yeah, their defense is, oh, it has always been fun to pick apart the cool kid on the block. I don't know how you can say that about the MCU now. While Scorsese and these detractors' arguments may have some elements of validity, it does come off a little whiny. Again, I kind of understand, in a certain time, where they're coming from. We just need to kind of, although there is there's been more of a mix, in recent months. You've had a mix of different films, but that's kind of what the studios should be aiming for. Is not, oh, we got to focus on IP movies. That's the only way to make money. It's like you're fucking over, these other films that you've got on your slate. You got these films coming out. It's like you're not helping them by just the focus is on IPs. The studios, because they have such a variety of things, it's like, surely you want, like, whether it's Scorsese's film, new film, whoever it is, surely you want that to do well, so then that makes you fucking money. I don't know why you want it to be the only things that make money are the IP stuff. It's like, surely you want these other films to make money for you. So it really is just the, a lot of the time the studio's fucking people over by their stupid, stupid decisions. But yeah, I don't think the likes of Scorsese, I don't think they've really got much to worry about anymore. It's like the party's over for Marvel, unfortunately, or fortunately, I'd rather say. But yeah, I think the only other thing I had, which I'm not sure if we should really go into it, it was to do with Killers of the Flower Moon. But I think for this particular article, I would rather have seen the film. That's what I'd prefer, just so then I could have a bit more insight. But it was stuff with, what was it? It was some Native American woman from Reservation Dogs that was complaining about the movie being too violent, about the movie showing what actually happened. But yeah, I'd rather save that for a rainy day, maybe. Although I'm not sure when, because I'm not going to see Killers of the Flower Moon until it's out on streaming, which I would assume it'd probably be at the end of November. That would be my kind of guess. I still haven't seen Oppenheimer yet. I'm still waiting to see that. I think that's out on streaming. I want to say roundabout November 10th. Roundabout when the Marvels comes out. So that would be a nice palate cleanser, I think, if that's out on streaming. Then I can give that a watch. Because I've watched the past 2 nights I've watched 3-hour movies. I watched that Amadeus. That was pretty good. That was a 3-hour one. And then, well, yeah, the next, because that's to do with, fucking Mozart. Yesterday I ended up listening to the entire, Requiem. Fucking intellectual powerhouse that I am, listening to I don't mind a bit of classical music now and again. But yeah, that was a good one. I don't know how I just never heard of that film. And then last night I ended up watching Silence, which is another Scorsese film. I heard people talking about it. I thought, I might give that a watch. I thought it was good. It wasn't. I don't really know how much I liked it, but it was an interesting story, I suppose. But that was another close to 3-hour one. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna watch next, but I've just been sticking to watching good stuff, really, because at some point, that's gonna be pretty much over. We're gonna be back to the shite. But yes, I'm forgetting because there's a lot of films that have just been pushed back. I think on the film and TV side of things, I think we're fine for the most part. I mean, it's only the Marvels left to come. I can't remember what else is coming out this year. But that's what we got. The Marvel. It's kind of once we go into next year, that's when just everything's fucking flying at us. We've got the Sony Marvel films. Kraven the Hunter looks fucking terrible. What's the other one they're doing? Madam Web. I don't know why they. I suppose the only reason they're doing that is just because what else can they do with the sort of characters like the Spider-Man characters that they have. I suppose they can't do too much, so that's probably why it's a fucking Madam Web. I don't know why they would go that route. Outside of it, just well, that's what we've got. And then I think it's just there's a lot of Marvel shit because a lot of it was delayed, so we're gonna get a big spurge of that at some point. Which is what we got. We got Echo, we got Agatha. I can't think what else. There's that many of them. It's fucking hard to say, isn't it? But yeah, I'm really, because I'm hoping, I kind of started, I suppose, doing my other channel, doing like more scripted stuff. I kind of like wanted to get into that fucking too late, so now we're at a point where it's like, oh, there's nothing coming out. I was hoping for, that's what I was hoping for. It would be good for another Ahsoka or something to come around, so then I can do like a video a week on that channel. But I'm gonna have to wait for the Marvels and then spend a few weeks, writing up a script for that. But yeah, we're pretty quiet for the rest of the year after the Marvels. And then, we've got Rings of Power Season 2 next year as well. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm not looking forward to doing, scripted stuff for that. That's going to take fucking years. Just with the sort of, the amount of stuff. I mean, when I did the reviews of the first season of that, it's like every review was over an hour long. So it's like, I'm not looking forward to scripting fucking that. That's going to take ages. But that's probably a good place to finish. I was having a quick look on the old X, that they call it now, just to see if anything had happened since we've been going, but it doesn't seem to have. So that will probably do us round about there. I'm just trying to stick to making sure I do one of these a week now. So we're on the third one, at the third episode. But yeah, what else have I got going on? I'm going to try and do a video on something tomorrow. Just kind of spend the morning doing that. I am supposed to be doing another breakdown for, a horror movie just for Halloween. But I don't know if I don't think I'll be doing that. I think I might just leave it. We might as well save another horror film for next year if I'm still fucking here, assuming that. But yeah, I want to start doing a bit more of like those breakdown streams, which are now on they're uploaded to another channel, which I think should be in the description here. Although it might be I haven't changed the fucking link over since I sort of changed that channel around. So I want to start doing more of those. So I think probably, I think once we're done with the Marvels, then I'll try and figure out, some sort of trilogies or, franchise sorts of things that we can just, break them all down. The only things I've kind of got on my list at the minute is I want to do the Nolan Batman trilogy. I want to do all three of those. And the Star Wars OT and prequels. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do. But I suppose, yeah, we'll probably wait to do that once the Marvels is done. Maybe a couple of weeks after the Marvels, because I'm going to be like fucking spending entire weeks like trying to get a sort of video done for that as well. Aside from doing the breakdown stream. But yes, we may as well finish off. I may be back later on, or I'll probably be back tomorrow. I just re-downloaded the Arkham games, so I want to sit and play them at some point. So I'll probably be back tomorrow playing that. That's no problem, Biffa. But yeah, we'll finish off there, and I suppose all I will say is I will see you on the next one.